for what initially I was just like, I'm all in on running. I want to be a pro runner. And this is like, the only way to do this is to just like have it be this singular focus. And this is all I'm going to think about for the next decade. And this job that I'm working is only to support my dreams of being a pro runner. And so even when I started biking, I bought this bike trainer. It was getting rainy in Seattle, and I was like, well, I need to do something. So I'm going to buy this bike trainer, and I'm going to get on Zwift, and I'm just going to bike every single day, and slowly build the running back up. Because it was one of the worst injuries I had ever had. I couldn't really walk for a couple of weeks, and actually, coincidentally, Spencer has the exact same injury right now. I don't know if I'm supposed to he'll probably say something about that on YouTube, but he just got an MRI. So exact same injury that caused me to start biking. And so I very, very quickly fell in love with it. And one of my buddies from back home he's a coach, he's a multi-sport coach. And he was like, dude, let me put your training together. Let me, we'll build up to a 20-minute power test over the next month. And he just gave me this whole schedule. And I had a lot of structure. And I was very slowly building up the running, and very quickly, but beyond just falling in love with that pursuit of improvement on the bike, I was like, wait, I'm pretty good at this. And I was looking up where my numbers stood in comparison to other cyclists. And off the bat, my just raw, no fitness or no training numbers were all right, you're a Cat 1, Cat 2 cyclist, which is top of the sort of, American categories of cycling. And I was like, okay, that's just running fitness. Let's see how good I can get if I actually train. And then I have two of the disciplines down, and just looking how fast do triathletes run? What are triathletes' power numbers? Shit, I am just as good as these guys, except I can't swim. So initially, I was definitely okay, I want to keep getting better at biking, but mostly just because I like biking and because it works for running. If I go to triathlon, I'm giving up on distance running, and that's not the type of person I am. And then that all changed when Morgan Pearson started just absolutely ripping on these dudes on triathlon training. And I was like, oh, I actually can do this. I can do this, and I'm not giving up on running, and I can continue to get better at running. And then the other thing that I'm especially now discovering with just triathlon training as a whole is I can train as much as I want, or I need to train, as much as I want, and I need to eat as much as I want. So those were two of the biggest factors for me going into college. When you have, athletic dining hall, you can eat whatever you want. I was running 100 miles a week as a college freshman, and I was gaining weight. And that's the other thing. I was like, okay, well, I want to be the best, so I need to run 100 miles a week as soon as I get to college. And that wasn't the best idea. I was just injured for sort of 2 years straight, but I always had this, I need to train more. I need to do more. And I wasn't really listening to the people around me who were like, dude, just chill. It's all about long-term development. And so now I'm in a sport where you just have to train all day. And so I never have this feeling of I'm being lazy. I need to go train more because I've already done 3 sessions that day. And I never get to the end of the day feeling like I didn't train enough. Yesterday, there was no pool for me to swim at. So I kind of got to the end of the day. I was just like, fuck, all I did was a, 80-minute run in 90-degree heat today. I didn't do enough. But so it's great to sort of be in a sport where I can do as much as I want. But I guess that was a long-winded answer for YouTube started as just biking. And then I started the channel and people were like, you got to do tries. And so eventually I was just like, oh, maybe I can start swimming. But I think the big issue was Seattle. There were so many lockdowns for COVID that I just was not able to find a place to swim. And even when we went to Albuquerque, I was able to swim twice a week, which I didn't really get that much better. So now I'm swimming pretty much every day, and I'm feeling the improvements of the first month and finally training like a triathlete.
Definitely. And it's no secret that triathlon is an expensive sport, probably, if not the most expensive sport, it's up there for sure. So I guess maybe you've had some good fortune in knowing who you know and being able to, use equipment and all that sort of stuff. I'm curious, do you see that as like a limitation at all to you growing in the sport of triathlon, is the money side of things? Or do you think you'll be fine based on YouTube and what you got going to be able to support, maybe a room for debate? Do you think triathlon is probably your main sport going forward? Or do you think running still has that potential?
No, yeah. So I'm completely 100% all in on triathlon.
Okay.
And again, I had this like worry in the back of my head of, am I giving up on distance running? But I am in love with the sport of cycling, and I am really starting to like swimming and trying to become a really good swimmer. It's not like something I resent as being sort of a part of the sport that I have to be good at. And so I know I have to be, to achieve my goals in triathlon, I still have to be as good of a runner as I can be. And so like in my head, it's like, all right, I still have to be in the next couple of years, a 13:10 5K guy, which is like, that was sort of the number I had in my head of as a runner. Like I want to be a 13:0 5K guy. And, if I can hit that at my peak, I'll, can retire happy. Yeah. That kind of thing. And not that the number is super important. It's more so, did I do everything I could to get there? And that's sort of the number I think I can hit, but I still need to be that good of a runner to be this sort of triathlete that I think I can be. So it's not like I'm letting up at all, but yeah, so I am completely all in on triathlon. And a lot of that is because I think I can be a way better triathlete than a runner that I could have been. And it's like, you look at guys like Jeff the Guy, like I'm never going to run 12:35 in the 5K.
Right.
But I look at the best triathletes in the world right now. I look at least from a swimming and or from a biking and running perspective, I'm like, I am as good or better than you right now. Obviously the swimming has a long way to go. And I don't know if I'll ever reach that point where I can stay with those guys in the swim, where it would matter how good I am on the bike or the run. But yeah, I just look at the guys who are the best in the sport and I'm like, okay, well, if I can get to this level for swimming, then I can be one of the best in the world. And so that's just not something I have thought about running in a long time. And so it's, I guess it is a little bit refreshing, but I wouldn't say it makes me any more motivated. Like I just need to be training all day. And if it was still just running, I think I would be happy, but it's nice to know that if I do this right, I can be among the best in the world. And, so regarding running versus triathlon, it's definitely triathlon going forward. And in terms of equipment in my head, I have this like absurd, like brash self-confidence that I will empty my bank account to get the necessary equipment, like the cheapest possible for one race. And then when I do that one race, I will destroy it and sponsors will just come in. And that's all I need. Like, so it's like a one-time investment. But that is a reality of the sport so this bike behind me it is 26 pounds. And to give you like a bike that you would race on is, 17, 16, somewhere or even lighter than that. And it was like my great uncle, he got a little bit too old to warrant riding it all the time. He just, handed it down to me. And it's a bike built for comfort, the comfort of an 85-year-old man, I'll say. It's not built for performance at all. Like I cannot race on this bike. Any bike that I can race on, even like an old used one, is going to cost sort of at least $1,500. Like a good wetsuit is a couple hundred. There's so many things that I will have to buy. But again, I see that as I just have to buy these things once, and I can probably buy the cheapest one, and I'll prove how good I am, and then I can. And I have no idea if this is how it works. I am almost as new to triathlon as you guys are, like in terms of what I know. And so now I'm just like enthralled of like, okay, how can I be that good? And the fact that I am as like now obsessed with swimming as I was with running when I was a 14-year-old, just off the bat, it gives me confidence that like, well, if I love this and I attack it every day, I'm going to be as good at this as I am at running, which might not be the case. Like I would say, there's I won a genetic lottery ticket in running and maybe in biking, and I hope it's there for swimming, but it'll take years to find out.
Yeah, you're definitely going in with the right mindset, because as you're mentioning, like swimming and biking, you can really train infinite amount. Like obviously there's overuse injuries, but for those you can really train kind of as much as you're able to. And you mentioned Morgan Pearson, like similarly, like Lucas Verzbicas when he's really good, like triathlon training can make you possibly a better runner than you would be just running, because your aerobic engine is able to just grow and grow and grow. And so you're able to do that on less mileage and, not get hurt running a lot of times, even though you're working out 5 hours a day or whatever the case is. So I think, the fact that you enjoy the process of just grinding it out, and like, especially on the bike and swimming where you can essentially do that, 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever it is, that's definitely the right position to be in for going into a triathlon.
Yeah, man, I love it. And it's interesting what you said about like, it does make you a better runner. So obviously we saw that with Morgan and Lucas when he was in, a sub 4 miler in high school, like, doing triathlon training. And I experienced that firsthand on this comeback from injury in December. I had done like 1 or 2 workouts. I was running 30 miles a week. I'm still running 30 miles a week, man. I think I've cracked 40 like once since October.
Oh, wow.
And part of that is being cautious, and part of that is just like so much volume now on the bike and in the pool. But especially then, like all of November was literally a buildup back from injury and just a lot of biking. And so in this, like, I think it was maybe my 3rd workout back, I had sort of just been hopping in with Spencer and the Beasts. And so they had this time trial. Spencer had 4 miles and the other guys had 5. And I was like, I'll just go and I'll pace you for your 4 mile tempo. It's at 4:45 pace. Like that's usually a little bit lower than my tempo. Like my fastest tempo ever at that point was like 1912, 1915 ish, like just under 450s. Mm-hmm. And that was like in the spring, right before I time trialed the 401 in the mile. So I was like really, really fit. Yeah. Probably the fittest back then. And so now I did this tempo leading Spencer the entire way. I ran 19 flat, and it was like a true tempo effort, even easier than that 1912 was. And I was like, I finished it and I was like, whoa, I need to keep biking forever. Like, cause I've been running, I have not been running. And I imagine if I hopped on the track for a 5K right now, I'm not going to be able to run 65-second pace. I'll get tired really quickly, but I am so strong right now from biking, from not even running. And again, that was just another, maybe I should like really take a harder look at this triathlon thing, because just the amount of training that I'm able to do, I think will make me a better runner. But then on the flip side of that, right now, I'm having so much trouble hitting these running workouts the way I used to, because now running is almost not prioritized. Every run I do is at the end of the day, after every session. Maybe it's right off the bike. Every workout is under some like insane level of fatigue. And I was definitely, this is for like any runner out there who might be watching my videos or is watching like a Lionel Sanders video, because I was guilty of this. When I first heard of Lionel Sanders, it was in the fall, and he was doing workouts, running 5Ks, whatever. And I was like, oh, this guy's like a 14:45K guy. This is a joke. What's so special about this? Like what are these workouts? These workouts are not that impressive. I could be the best triathlete in the world. And then, he destroyed me on Friday. I could not hang with him for his workout. Granted, it was 90 degrees. He definitely has this heat acclimatized, and I was not. But the other thing is we both went into this workout very fatigued, and he has been doing that for years. So he can just be really, really tired and do this workout. And the workout was 5K, 3K at 5:05s. My initial plan, and the video is going to come out in a couple of days. My initial plan was, all right, I'm going to do his entire workout and also tempo while he's recovering. So it's going to be, it'll be a 15K tempo at 5:05 pace, which honestly, like when I was back, in only running, that was my bread and butter. I could do, an 8 mile tempo in 40 minutes or 40-20 ish, without really dipping into the tank at all. So I was like, okay, I'm really strong right now. I'm just going to knock out, 9.3 miles at 5:05 pace. And then I get to the end of the first 5K rep, and I'm like, okay, I'm already not doing this tempo. So I just rested with him. And then 3K into the second, or not even 3K, 2K into the second 5K rep, I just started completely dying. Like I haven't hurt like this in a very long time. And so I only made it 5K, 3K, while he just continued to grind out this workout. And I was just like, man, I have been disrespecting the sport of triathlon. Like you just can't hit these workouts out of the park like you can twice a week as a runner, because you're just every time you run, you are so tired, which is by design, because it's always the end of the race. You're never going to run fresh.
It'll feel great like next time you are actually fresh for either a workout or a time trial or something. But
where are you racing next? What's the next triathlon?
So I guess I didn't touch on this at all. It's very early stages, but I do have a coach. I'm sort of like transitioning over to this guy James Peterson. He has a group based in New Hampshire, and he started recruiting me before I had even considered triathlon. He saw my times from college, but he didn't know I had started biking. And it was just this really weird coincidence that he reached out to me. But his group is in New Hampshire. So for a while I was like, dude, I really like it out here. Like I don't want to move to New Hampshire. But he's a pretty good salesman. So I think, next stop is I'm going to go to New Hampshire for sort of like a training camp with him and his group, learn how to ride a time trial bike. And, I'm going to do the rough plan, is, USA Triathlon age group nationals as like sort of my, debut. And then probably Ironman 70.3 Maine at the end of August. So like, I still have a lot of training to do, but hopefully August is when I'll start really racing a bunch.